Shalom friends, Dr. Victoria Sorvati with another Candid Treasures. Today I want to encourage you in really what the mind of God really feels for us and what we should do and how to approach Him and how to relate to one another. I'm reminded of the scripture in 1 Peter 5:5, the second part, that says, "And all of you clothe yourselves with humility toward one another, for God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." You know, it's interesting that the writer of the scripture talks about putting on humility like a garment. But you know, this is such biblical language. You know, Jesus is the one that clothes us in His righteousness. We are really sinners that can't do enough good for God. Even though we try hard to walk in good things and do things that are pleasing unto Him, in our own power, we just never measure up. In fact, maybe we might do something good, and then 2 or 3 seconds later, we're thinking very evil thoughts. So what He wants us to do is to clothe ourselves with humility. We must remember that there's nothing we can do that can make ourselves great. You know, as opposed to making ourselves feel good and exalting ourselves. It reminds me of the scripture in Matthew 23:12 that says, "For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." We can kind of see this idea that God is wanting us to grasp a hold of, and that is, let Him be your righteousness. Let Him be your glory. Let Him be what makes you proud, not yourself, not how you look, what you have done, where you live, what kind of car you drive, what your accomplishments have been, how you relate to people, or even how big your ministry might be, or how powerful you are in prayer and all of the things that have ministry offers. But to realize that we are actually weak. We are actually poor in spirit. We don't have what it takes. Only God on us, in us, working through us, can there be true great things that happen from us. We must be humble. When we humble ourselves, He lifts us up. He exalts us to another place, and He begins to use us in ways that we can't imagine. We become His mouthpiece. We become His footsteps. We become His hands that reach out. And so whenever we allow Him to live in us, work through us, humble ourselves, really it's dying to ourselves, laying ourselves down and allowing Him to come in and then resurrecting us to a brand new life in Him. He clothes us then in His righteousness. We no longer have on the filthy garments of this life. We no longer have on pride. We no longer have on the self-adoration and the self-aggrandizement and the all the self-awareness anymore. All that goes away because we only see life through His eyes. He then exalts us to a higher place. We see things differently. Humility causes you to see things differently. You will then have the eyes of God. You will have those dove eyes that only sees the things that God is showing you. Clothe yourselves in humility. Humble yourselves. Let God exalt you and show you a brand new world that He will work through you in. So God bless you. Have a great and wonderful week. Shalom.